Afrobarometer, a Pan-African non-partisan survey research network that provides data on African experiences and evaluations of democracy, governance and quality of life, released their latest survey in the Gambia on Friday. The survey indicates that 67% of Gambians agree or strongly agree that the rejected 2020 draft constitution should be reintroduced in the National Assembly, though there are concerns about the commitment from political parties. Findings from the April-May 2024 show that two-thirds of Gambians believe the 2020 draft constitution should be brought back to the National Assembly for amendment. Additionally, more than half of the respondents think the National Assembly was wrong to reject the 2020 draft. Key amendments that citizens are advocating for in a reintroduced draft constitution include the introduction of presidential term limits, a provision missing from the current 1997 constitution.
In terms of constitutional reforms, you see that 7 out of 10 Gambians, 71% express support for a new national constitution, while a quarter, 24% say there is no need for a new constitution. And we also seen that two-thirds, that is almost 7 out of 10 Gambians agree or strongly agree that the rejected 2020 constitution should be reintroduced to the National Assembly for amendment. Only 3 in 10, 29% say the National Assembly was right to reject the draft constitution proposed in 2020. And I think it's important at this minute to say that within Afrobarometer, every country is allowed to include 5 country-specific questions. And for us, we decided to include questions around, constitutional review and transitional justice, because since 2018, we've also been tracking these processes because they are also very critical in our conversation.
The survey also highlighted the health sector as a recurrent concern among respondents.
Of course, some red flags in the report, and one of them is the public trust. We've seen from 2018 to now how it's declining, and I think that's something that is seen across the board from central government to local government. And concerning the parliament, I think this is something also that we need to look into seriously, because the parliament, I think, scored very, very low. There are issues around peace and security. Obviously, the survey is perception, but it's important. I think it's reflecting what Gambians are saying at their individual levels, which is contrasting to what government is saying, that they feel less secure. So this is also important to take into account. The degradation also of public services, in terms of the government commitment or delivery. And I think one key area that has been coming in the survey also is the health sector. And if you look at also the discuss in the country around the health sector, I think also we can say it is reflecting. One last point before the panelists start is also those who have information and those who, and I think if you look at the data on women's rights, women participation, you've seen the score is very high, which doesn't reflect the reality. But also if you go into the detail of the data, especially when it talks about FGM and all, you can see those who have information are mainly men. That is also something that might explain why people believe that women have enough space in the public, in the public sector, when in actual fact the reality is contrasting. So I think the data needs to be looked into holistically to be able really to serve the purpose.
The program manager at the Gambia Participates noted that the findings are timely, considering the 2024 draft has been gazetted by the government.
I'm grateful for this survey that has been again conducted by CRPD, and I think that it has come really at a very crucial time, considering that we are at a crucial moment where we have the 2024 draft that has been gazetted by the executive. And really, most of these findings are of no surprise to us, because we know how Gambians really want a new constitution. This has been like a topic over the years since it was even rejected. And if we are having 71% of the people saying that they need a new constitution, we definitely know that we need a new constitution.
Lawyer Lamin J. Dabo mentioned that most of the survey findings were not surprising.
The findings are not surprising, given the history we came out of only a few years ago. So obviously, accountability, constitutional reform, constitutional reform, presidential term limits, governance generally, I believe is what Gambians are saying. They want a better governance system. So for example, on a new constitution, obviously, it's very clear what people want. 71% of the people think that the Gambia needs a new constitution.
The survey also reveals that only minorities believe the ruling National People's Party, 29%, and the opposition United Democratic Party, 34%, are committed to providing the country with a new constitution. Mariama Danso from Fact Check Center pointed out a communication gap between the people, the government, and other political parties.
I will say that there is a gap. The reason why is the citizens feel that the government is not communicating enough, or they don't have enough trust on both the government, the UDP, or the NPP, and the rest of the political parties, is because there is a breach or there is a gap between the line of communication between both central government, the peripheral government, the political parties as well. Even as you ask them some of the questions on their perception on the performance of the leaders, some of them will tell you issues that you understand those issues, but at their level they don't understand those issues, but you are there to collect their perceptions. And when they give you their perceptions, you get to realize that most of the conversations that we are having around constitutional reform, around the post-TRRC, it's like we are having the conversation amongst ourselves. They don't know what is happening. So if we say most of the Gambians want a new constitution, what type of a new constitution do they want? I think there's a problem around that specific area as well. If we say in terms of performance, even with the local leaders that they have at their level, people in their societies would rather trust their alcalos and their imams rather than the local government councillors, the National Assembly members, and even the president himself.
Former president of the Gambia Bar Association, Salih Tal, emphasized the importance of information in a democracy.
Information is key in a democracy, and it is important that our citizens are informed to be able to participate meaningfully in a democracy. That's why it's very important that we have this survey. Now, jumping head on, it is actually very worrying, to say the least, that the scorecard for the performance of our leaders is very low, abysmally low. We're talking about 36% for the president, 34%, I guess, for the mayors and governors, and very scary, 31% for our National Assembly members, people we directly elect to represent us. So I think this is really cause for concern, and I would link it also to another issue. For example, we elect our parliamentarians to represent our interests at the National Assembly as a collective. The same National Assembly are the ones who, majority of us also want a constitution, 7 out of 10. So logically, you'll assume that if the 7 out of 10 Gambians want a constitution, those they elect would also vote in line with the aspirations of those who elected them. So you have this lack of congruence between our National Assembly, what they do in Parliament, and what we people want. I think that is a cause for concern. So the question is, are they really representing us?
The Afrobarometer team in the Gambia, led by the Center for Research and Policy Development, interviewed a nationally representative sample of 1,200 adult Gambians in April-May 2024. Reporting for Kerfatu, I am Buba Gajigo.